Welcome to Villa Calcinaia. I am Sebastiano Capponi and I'm the winemaker and the administrator for this estate, for this generation of my family. My family is a very old family. They started shop in Florence in the early 1200s. We were silk merchants and wool merchants. And then from the money made by selling those goods, we started loaning this money to people at an interest. And that's how we made even more money, and we started purchasing, large estates like this one here. And in 1524, in the contract that you can see online, you can read the purchase of 4 units that we call in Tuscan poderi, which were San Piero Alpino, also known as San Pierino, which holds actually the oldest building of the estate, which is a Romanesque church that was built in 1087. The 2 guard towers of Sepale and Bastignano, which we can't see anymore because it was already a ruined house in 1524, so the house does not exist anymore. And last but not least, of course, Calcinaia. The estate, it's about 215 hectares. It's an integrated farm, I always point out to people, because we don't just make wine here. Of course, we have a lot of vineyards, as you can see, but we also have olive trees where we make wonderful olive oil. And we have a part of the land which is run by goat herders, and they make exceptional goat cheese and honey. The fil rouge that connects all these activities is the organic farming, which we started in Calcinaia in 1997, and we got our first organic certification in 2000. Welcome to the Cantinaccia, as we call it over here, the old cellar of Villa Calcinaia. The cellar contains all the different wines that are aging separately right now before we decide what the blends are going to be for the Villa Calcinaia Chianti Classico, for example, or the Villa Calcinaia Chianti Classico Reserva, because our style of vinification, our style of aging is characterized by keeping separate all the vineyards. So for example, in this cask there is the 9th vineyard picked in 2018. That allows me to have more options when I start talking about the blending. And usually after 1.5 years after the harvest, we taste all the different vineyards blind, it's a blind tasting, and we decide what vineyards are going to make the Villa Calcinaia Chianti Classico and what vineyards are going to make the Villa Calcinaia Chianti Classico Reserva. The 3 wines I would like to present today are the Villa Calcinaia Comitale, the Villa Calcinaia Chianti Classico, and the Villa Calcinaia Chianti Classico Reserva. But before we start talking about the wines, we need to understand where they come from. And they come from here. This is the region of Chianti. The region of Chianti is in the center of Tuscany, between the city of Florence in the north and the city of Siena in the south. It's a very old region, already old wine region, because actually this is one of the first appellation in the world established by a decree of Cosimo III, Grand Duke of Tuscany, in 1716, which established the area of production of the Chianti wines. The problem of this area is that, being very famous, had lots of imitators, and people in the areas around Chianti started making wine in the same fashion of. And nowadays, unfortunately, we have on the market 2 products. One is called Chianti, and it's not made in Chianti. Italians love to complicate things. And another one is called Chianti Classico, and it's made in Chianti. But from a consumer standpoint, how do we recognize a Chianti from a Chianti Classico? Well, you have to look for the rooster, the black rooster or the black cockerel, depending where you come from, if United States or UK. That's what you'd be looking for. You have to look for the black rooster because that means that the wine is made in the region of Chianti and follows the bylaws of the Chianti Classico appellation, which establish that all the wines should have at least 80% of Sangiovese. But before we digress. Before we start talking about the reds, we should talk a little bit about the white. Villa Calcinaia Comitale means the count, something of the count. It's the adjective of the noun count in Italian. So in this case, it's the wine of the count. The wine has started to be made in the early 70s on the estate, and it's a blend of 90% Grechetto and 10% Vernaccia. It's a very good spring wine, and I would definitely associate this wine with some nice, vegetable dishes that are with vegetables that actually come out in the spring, in the early spring, like the peas or like the fava beans. One dish, for example, could be the piselli alla fiorentina, which is basically peas with ham. I think that the sweetness of the peas will complement very well the savoriness of this wine. The second wine I would like to talk to you about is the Villa Calcinaia Chianti Classico, which is, I believe, the most important wine we make. Not only because of the sheer number of bottles we make of this wine, about 2,000 cases every year, which is in our winery quite a lot, but just because it's the wine that identifies the estate. It's the wine that for people who don't know much about the estate, they will recognize this wine as the wine of the estate, in the sense that it's the first, usually, date that the customer has with my winery. And I always make a joke. I always tell this wine better be good, because usually if the first date is not good, there's no second date. In this case, the pairing that I think about when I drink this wine is maybe a very nice piatto di pasta pomodoro. So it's like a spaghetti pomodoro. It's my go-to for this wine for sure. The tomato has nice acidity, so it kind of mellows down and makes sweeter the acidity of the Sangiovese. The third wine is the Chianti Classico Reserva. The term Reserva comes from the time of the sharecropping system, because it was the part of the wine that was kept for by the landlord for his family for special occasion, and it usually was the only part that was bottled. In the case of the Villa Calcinaia Chianti Classico Reserva, the blend is only one varietal, so it's only Sangiovese. And usually the Reserva having more structure, more tannic structure, I would envision this wine more with more structured food, like maybe a wild boar stew or the famous bistecca alla fiorentina, which is a classic of this area, and it goes very well with another classic, which is our Chianti Classico Reserva. All the wines I make are meant for one purpose, which is to be drank during the meals. I don't usually drink wines outside meals. I will drink a beer before a meal, I would drink a scotch or a cognac or an armagnac after a meal. So for me, the wine is for the table.